And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, Interim Director at WEIU. My co-host is Annalicia Haynes.
Hi, everyone.
Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And our guest making her initial appearance here today is Dr. Ozlem Ersin.
Very good. You said it well.
I got it right. She is the Dean of the EIU College of Health and Human Services.
Well, thank you for having me.
And you're relatively new to campus. You started July 1st, correct?
Correct.
So let's just start out with, EIU so far. You're about 5 months into it. So tell us a little bit about your experience here at EIU, and then we'll get into some details.
Sure. So far, so good, I must say. I moved here with my family, and they're loving the community. The little ones are in school, so they're loving that. And even back during the interview process, I've always heard that EIU is like a family, and once you're here, you can't leave. And we're already experiencing that. So it's already feeling like a community for us, and we love that.
Very good. Tell us a little bit about your background, about how you got to where you are, and then kind of what drove you to want to apply to work at Eastern.
Sure. I have a non-straight path to academia, to higher education. I started in actually corporate sales, and I was in information technology, and I worked for a very large company for a number of years, and the internet bust of 2001 hit, and I got laid off, and I was thinking, what do I do next? And I happened to be in sales, and my customers were academic clients, and I had some familiarity with online technologies and universities. So I made the transition to actually working in the online education department of a very large university in Minnesota. And the rest is history. I loved being on campus. I loved being an academician, and I think it was meant to be.
That's a great story.
That is cool.
Yeah, you don't usually hear those shifts from, because those are two totally different worlds.
They are.
You can bring some of what you had, what you started with, into academia, but yeah, that's interesting.
Well,
very
thank
cool.
you, yes.
And then when you heard that Eastern had a job opening, for the Dean of the College of Health and Human Services, what made you think Coles County, Charleston, Eastern Illinois University?
I looked it up, and honestly, the first thing that I fell in love with was I saw President Glassman giving a State of the University address. Yeah. And I saw how honest he appeared to be, how forthcoming with information he appeared to be, and I thought, well, okay, that's probably a guy I'd like to work with. And then rest is history.
Now, where were you at when you were part of the country, or
I was in Virginia at another public institution.
Okay.
Yeah, I was.
So the family is like the moving to rural here in the middle
so good.
As most people call it, the middle of a cornfield, right?
Middle of the cornfield. I haven't seen the cornfields yet, though.
A little bit, yeah. Between Metro and Charleston. Well, it just depends on how much you
depends on where you're going to.
Yeah. And I was deliberate about looking for opportunities in the Midwest. I'm originally from Turkey, and I came to the U.S. as an international student, and I lived in Minnesota for about 22 years. And the snow was calling my name. The South was too warm.
Is Turkey cold?
Not where I'm from in Turkey.
Okay.
I'm from Istanbul, and it's not as much. It snows once in a while.
But not like Minnesota?
No, not like Minnesota.
So you actually like the snow?
I love the snow.
Have you dealt with Chicago weather?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
And we'll get like one or two storms here, a year usually. Nothing major, but
we've already had overnight. We already had a snowstorm in late October.
That's right. That's right.
Well, let's talk about the College of Health and Human Services. There's a lot of people and a lot of departments underneath what you do, but talk about your kind of game plan and your mission forward.
Yes. So the college is new, like you suggested, Jeff, and it was a reorganization. So the departments in the college are not new, and it made sense that all the departments and units that relate to health of the individual and the community in one shape or form were organized under one umbrella.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that was done, and this predates me. I'm the second dean of the college, and I'm the first permanent dean of the college. And my goal for the first year is really to understand what works, what could use some improvement. And also, I refer to myself as the Chief Optimism Officer. I think there's a real need for EIU to really find its footing again in terms of its value in the community and owning up to it and regaining some of that optimism. So I play that role a lot.
No, that's good, because I think when you're brand new, if you'd have went in and made changes day one, then it was kind of, you get some pushback.
Yes.
But you're kind of in that evaluation stage. Is that fair to say right now?
Right, it is.
And then, I guess after evaluation, then you kind of analyze and then come up with more of a game plan for the maybe future years down the road?
That's right. And there are already certain things that we are beginning to work on. And I joke with my leadership team that we're going to be known for operational excellence, right? So all the way from the boring paperwork to planning for the next year. Because we're a new college, we don't have any baggage. We don't have anything to weigh us down. So we can actually design processes. Oh, here we go, coming from the business world. Right, we can design our processes, our operations meticulously and with intentionality. So that's where we are at this point.
Now, I gotta ask you, is everybody buying in so far? All the different departments buying in, and because everybody's kind of reluctant to change no matter what they've been doing before. Is the buy-in been well?
So far so good. I haven't heard any pushback, and I think the colleagues that I work with are hungry for some change, hungry for some positivity, and of course the big news is our School of Nursing.
Yeah.
So I can't take any credit for it. It was already in the works. Dr.
I would take credit if I was you.
I won't. I won't. The idea was already there when I was interviewing for the position, and I was really excited about that. So I believe there's excitement about that, right? There's some growth in the horizon.
Well, and when you look at every newspaper and every help wanted place in right now, they're all looking for nurses. And it only makes sense that Eastern gets back into the nursing business, don't you think?
That's right. I agree.
Being new in a new position, is that difficult, especially a position like a dean position? So I guess, how do you take us through that first day of work? What was that like? I'm really interested. I mean, it seems like, I don't know if I'd be able to do, because in my position, right, I'm still an undergrad.
But when you look at all the different departments under you, I think it would be kind of,
yeah,
a
so
little
take
bit.
us through that first day. What was that like?
Right. There's a lot of excitement, and I think a leadership position takes a certain kind of individual that's not afraid to say, I don't know, and to ask questions. And I asked, much to the chagrin of many people, I ask questions all the time. And when I don't know something, or I don't understand something, or something doesn't make sense immediately, face value, right? I ask questions. And you were asking if there's been any pushback. We have had some conversations around, what's the difference between, say, asking a question versus questioning things, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So it's a culture change, and I'm really excited that as a dean, as a leader of a college of over multiple departments, I get to set the tone and make asking questions okay again.
I like that. That's good advice. Not many people say that.
And and the reason I know that that was a very, very truthful statement, before we went on the air, you were asking us questions, and that, which is great, because everybody likes to tell their own story, and I think if you do it in the proper way and do it the correct way, when you go out and meet your leadership team and then the staff underneath them, and you ask questions, but you ask questions in the proper way, people do like to tell their story. Don't you? Have you found that out when you're going through? I mean, if you think about the people below you, that sounds terrible, but in your department, communications disordered, kinesiology, health promotion, military science, nursing and nutrition. I mean, that's a lot of departments. Then you also have outreach. I was just trying to look at my cheat sheet here. So there's a lot of things that are involved with that. So when you met with all those, can you take us through some of the questions and some of the, as you said, the processes that kind of made them think, hey, I think we're going in the right direction?
Sure. One of the unique things about our college is that it's a mix of different disciplines. So unlike, let's say, a college of business or a college of medicine or a college of nursing, where everyone has a shared professional identity, just a list of units that you went through, we don't. Right? Other than a loose connection around health and human services, we're all each different. We come from different academic backgrounds. So most fundamental question I ask is, well, tell me about your discipline. Right. Yeah. Tell me about excellence in your discipline. Tell me about your accreditation standards. Because one of the beauties of working for a college where every department has a specialty accreditation is, I don't necessarily have to set the quality standards, right? An external entity says, for excellence in kinesiology, these are the guidelines. So educate me on those. when you think of excellence, what comes to mind for you? So that has been the most fundamental question. And also, are we staffed appropriately? Are we where we need to be? We have, let's say, dietetics has a laboratory, cooking laboratory, like for food preparation. Do we have the pots and pans we need? I mean, it goes all the way down to the weeds level. Do we have everything that we need to be able to not only succeed, but also excel?
There you go. Since it's a newly aligned college, like you said, is there a little bit of, I don't know what the correct word is, but levity in trying to, that you've got to, nobody, since it's not been there yet, you can kind of create it as you go?
Right. That's right.
And I don't know what the right word is. I apologize.
That's
but
right.
Is that the fun part? I would think that would be good.
It is. And this is the third time in an academic environment where I'm in a brand new position, creating something from scratch. And that's the entrepreneurial part of it that I really enjoy.
I like that. What have you learned so far at EIU that maybe it's just we wouldn't think that you normally would learn, but just being here for the 5-6 months that you're here?
An experience that's new to me has been working in a unionized environment where faculty are unionized. That has been new for me. And when I was first new and I had just accepted the position, I tapped into my network of folks and say, like, what should I do as a new dean, right? Yeah. As you were asking, what should my first steps be? And the heads up I received without fail was from people who'd worked on unionized campuses was, it's going to be contentious. You're going to get grieved. People are not going to be happy with you. Now, I'm knocking on wood. I haven't seen that at EIU. What I have seen instead is a pleasant surprise, right? How well upper administration and the union leadership work together and that they have a common goal. And I have been really pleasantly surprised by that.
So you mentioned that there's a common goal, right? And this is probably going to sound like the biggest cliche of this Monday, but is that common goal to students? I just feel, no, I mean...
You just want us to talk about you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we have to talk about me and all the money that I'm putting into this university, but no, seriously, I mean, I feel like, how do you factor in, there's all this stuff that's going on, right? You have anything from faculty affairs to making sure that you have the needs, or do we have everything that we need to function? But how do you factor in that student aspect? Because that's always, there's just so much stuff that you have to balance. Is what it seems like. So I guess that's what I'm trying to get at is how do you balance it all?
How do I personally balance it? Well, I think listening to the students is really important. And one of the first things we did with my leadership is we put together advisory groups for undergraduate students and graduate students, because being in a leadership position on campus could be isolating. If I can choose, I can sit at my computer all day long and read emails and sign paperwork, right?
It's always exciting, yeah.
Very exciting. I'm thrilled. That's the best part of the job. But I find that I have to be intentional about reaching out to the students and finding time to spend with them. And the advisory groups have been really helpful, right? So tell me about your experience, because I can read the glossy wording from EIU marketing materials, right? Yeah. But that's not the goal. I want to know what the students are experiencing. So that has been really helpful. For Thanksgiving, we hosted a Thanksgiving dinner for international students. And
I heard about that, yeah.
Was it fun?
It was a lot of fun.
I think that's fantastic.
It was a lot of fun.
Because you're over study abroad too, correct?
No, I'm not.
I thought the study abroad was underneath that.
There are students in the college who have gone on study abroad, but that's a different...
that's a whole different department, yeah.
That's a different department, but... it was one person put it as, are you paying it forward? Because I have been an international student and I have experienced the loneliness there is when everybody leaves campus and you're the lone person in a dorm.
So tell us a little bit about the Thanksgiving with the international students. What kind of things did they ask and want to talk about, and what did they ask you?
So I just heard from one of them this morning. Actually, it's funny you asked, Jeff. she said, I asked her, so what was your favorite part? And she said, learning how to make pumpkin pie. So we made pumpkin pie. We made apple pie. They learned how to make gravy, as lumpy as it turned out to be. But we had a great time.
I'm going to have to ask you, this is the oddball question of the day. Did you have noodles?
We did not have. Is that a thing?
That is not a thing. No, don't let him convince you. That is not a thing.
Well, it's a thing, but it's a thing below, like Kankakee in Illinois. Everybody south has noodles with things. I've done an extensive study on this show. Below Kankakee, which is about 2 hours north.
Yeah.
From Kankakee south, people have noodles. Anybody from Chicago thinks it's the dumbest thing ever, but. So I'm just saying.
And
if you
people
want to
put
be
it on
part
top of,
this
like, their mashed
community, noodles are not a bad
potatoes.
thing.
So, okay, this is a shout out to Michelle in my office.
All right.
When I was putting together the menu for Thanksgiving, I said, okay, so I got the mashed potatoes and the sweet potatoes, yam,
Yep.
turkey, gravy, green bean casserole. What else? And she said, noodles. I said, noodles? Who makes noodles for Thanksgiving? Is that an Illinois thing? And she said, no, it's not.
It's a yeah.
I think it's an Illinois thing.
I think
Southern Illinois is the only place that I've heard of that.
All right.
So
To be settled.
It could be. Maybe it's in Central Illinois. I'm just wondering because, well, now you are in Central Illinois, so
That's right.
next year.
You know what? No, but actually, I'm sorry. Sidetrack. There was a Twitter thread that was going around last week that talked about noodles.
It's an amazing
And how
it
people
really,
eat the
and
noodles.
it aggravates people from Chicago. They're like, why would you have noodles?
And
I'm
what
like,
kind of noodles? What's the recipe?
It's just like regular. It's not. It's not as. It's
not pasta.
No, it's not.
I would call them Amish style noodles that
Yeah.
come in the bag, and then
Yes.
how you cook them.
Because it's not as thin as chicken
We
noodle
have gotten
soup,
so far off
but there's
base.
like turkey and anyways. I had noodles at Cromwell Radio.
Well, Jeff, this is an
but-
issue.
I know it's an issue.
And I have an attitude about
we
it.
continue to talk about noodles for
We're gonna
Thanksgiving.
start a survey now.
It's gonna. I mean, it is almost scientific that it's where it is. I'm telling you. So,
But
all right, let's
so
get back
aside
to the
from-
students.
From what people typically have for Thanksgiving, did they bring any of their own dishes?
I didn't want to put any pressure on the students to have to
Right.
because I wasn't really sure
Yeah.
what would be open. So they brought bags of chips.
That's fair. That's what I do.
And we
You
had
can't go
chip
wrong with
Nothing
exchange
wrong
at
with
the end.
Everybody likes chips, right?
No, but that's
Now
really
you,
great.
and you have traveled and worked all over the world too. Does that help you in your experience here, in your job, and dealing with international students, but regular students as well?
I believe so, definitely with the international students, right? I think there's a loneliness that comes with being away from family. That's to be expected. But I think there's also a loneliness that comes from having to represent an entire group of people if that
Right.
burden is placed on your shoulders.
Yeah.
So for them to be in an environment where a grown-up in the room says, you don't have to tell me about Saudi Arabia, you're good. Right, let's just have noodles.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and turkey. I think there's just some comfort that comes with
Yeah,
that.
it's like a bit of a relief, that this stress is taken off their shoulders because they don't have to constantly answer all these questions.
They
Oh my
don't.
God, where are
Well,
you
yeah, I
from?
mean, and-
I noticed your accent. Where are you
That's
from?
right. That's right.
And I think by you hosting something like that, just think about those kids who would have been sitting in a dorm or apartment by themselves, eating McDonald's or whatever on Thanksgiving. They got a little bit of the culture of this part of the country, and I think you're to be commended for doing that. I mean,
thank you.
that's awesome.
What I was not expecting was also how soon a lot of them split. And I said, well, where are you going? What plans do you have? And they didn't want to say, but Walmart was calling their name.
No, they ready to do some shopping.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Black Friday starts Thursday.
Yeah, it's true. Do you consider yourself a goal setter? Are you setting goals for the department as you move forward?
I am a huge goal setter. I have lists of lists that I set for myself. And the biggest goal right now is to get through successfully getting the permissions to start the School of Nursing
Yep.
and have a successful program in place.
And what
That's
is the
supposed to be-
timeline? Oh, go
I
ahead.
was just going to say
Yeah.
that's supposed to be in spring, isn't it? They're supposed to get approved from the nursing board.
It's out of our hands at this point, so it is at multiple places. We have to pursue multiple paths. So Illinois Board of Nursing is looking at one piece of it. The Board of Education, Higher Education, Illinois Board of Higher Education is looking at the actual establishment of the School of Nursing. And then is going to be the accreditor, and the accreditor will have to get their hands on it and give us the seal of approval. So at this point, we've done all we can.
There you go. So it really isn't a timeline per se. Is there a timeline like best case scenario that?
Best case scenario, early case scenario, we're looking at fall of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you think of all the stuff that you do, what do people not know that a dean has to do? Like, kind of go follow up what Annalisa said. Day-to-day activities that people don't think, yeah, the dean of a college has to do these kind of things.
I think it's the firefighting that happens a lot. That even the dean doesn't know they're going to be doing that day.
Just putting out fires every day.
Just putting out fires or being an empathetic ear to a lot of people.
Have you got to meet all of the professors and all the employees under the college? I know it's only been a few months. Have you got to sit down at least face to face for a few minutes with everybody?
Not everyone at this point, but what I was very intentional about is going back to intentionality, right? Is I wanted us to establish a tradition of having at least one opening meeting for the college, which I understand is rather unique for the campus. So we did do that, and all faculty and staff members were invited. And so in that venue, I at least got to meet a lot of the individuals that I get to work with.
One more thought about the Eastern students. Is it tough for Eastern students? Well, it's more like the EIU students, maybe not the international students, but the regular Eastern Illinois student. Is it hard for them to come up and talk to a dean, or how's that interaction work? So you get some input from the student side.
I get two sides. I get the student who knows what a dean is and is extremely nervous about talking to a dean. And then I get the student who could care less what a dean is because they don't know what that title means.
See, I would have been the one. I don't think I would have ever spoken to a dean while I was going to Eastern. I would have been like, I just want to get my degree. I don't want to, because I was frightened.
Well, there is that. There's a hierarchy. There's a chain of command that you go through, and I feel like if a student can get their problems taken care of by the chair, then they don't need to go to the dean. But if there is that one, there's always one student who's like, you know what, forget this, I'm going to the dean. I'm going to the president.
Not everybody are you, though, Annalise.
Right.
That knows the president.
And then when that does happen, and it has happened, my question is always, have you talked to your faculty first? Have you talked to your department chair first? Have you talked to... Because I also believe that a big part of getting a college education is learning how the ropes are, what the ropes are, and chain of command.
If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Dr. Ozlem Ersin,
Very good.
the new dean of the EIU College of Health and Human Services here on the campus of EIU. We've about 7 or 8 minutes left here. Do you have a mentor that you kind of have a go-to mentor that guided you, or that you can still pick up the phone and say, "Oh, John, I'm just having the worst day. Build me up." Is there somebody out there?
I do.
Do you mind sharing, or you're not?
She's at this point I can't tell if she's a colleague or a friend or a mentor, right? And I think that's the true mark of a mentor. And once in a while something will happen and something she says will pop in my head. She's like my guiding light. And one of the things that she always says is, all bad behavior stems from insecurity. And that has really helped me a lot. Like when I'm dealing with a situation where an individual's throwing a fit, or they're in tears, or it's not going the way I would like it to go, I have to remind myself there's an insecurity here, and I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm the cause of it. Maybe they brought it with them, right? And so her words ring in my ear a lot.
That's good. I like that. I remember that quote.
All bad behavior stems from insecurities.
There you go. We would be remiss if we also did not talk about something you wanted to talk about that's happening next year, the census. Tell us what people should do and why.
Yes, so it's the 2020 census. The census, as you know, happens every 10 years, and that's the major way our communities get their hands on federal funding. And a lot of the formulas for how we're going to get money depends on how many people live in a community. And it's very important for us all to be counted. So we're working with academic affairs and student affairs on campus to make sure our students are counted, because while they're away from home, they're considered to be residing in Charleston and Coles County. And we're working with the community as well to get the word out. So if I may, there
I want you to,
there
yes.
are 2 dates coming up. They're going to be community information forums. One is going to be January 30th from 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. And the other one is going to be February 5th from 10:30 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. and both will be at the Charleston Public Library.
Okay.
So that's one part. Make sure you get counted when you get the form in the mail. And as a change this year, for the first time, you'll be able to do your census forms online. You don't have to mail anything in. You can fill it out online. The other thing to consider is to actually work for the census. And the census is looking for individuals especially well connected in the community, also for individuals who might have some flexibility in their schedules. So if you're retired, if you're a part-time worker, go to 2020census.gov, and the job application is available there.
And could students do that?
Students can do that. That would be a perfect part-time job for students as well.
Okay. And I think when we had our guests on last time, we had 2 or 3 different ones about the census. The online stuff wasn't for sure, so that is locked in now. That's
what we've been hearing. That's the message we've been receiving. Now, every community is encouraged by the government to create a committee, and we're really lucky that our city has taken the lead and is working with EIU, and we have what is called the Complete Count Committee. And the word that we're consistently receiving is that the online forms are a go.
That's awesome. That's good because I know that was kind of up in the air last time because they didn't, or maybe they didn't know when it was going to be released. But I guess keep checking back. So a few minutes. Anything that we forgot about your department that you would like to talk about before we ask you just kind of more funny or silly questions with Annalisa love so much?
Oh, did I ask funny questions?
No, I will ask.
Oh, no, he's going to ask funny questions.
You can ask me questions.
No.
If you want anything else to add about the college.
I think it's good times for EIU. I think the clouds are parting. I really see that. The clouds are parting, and they've gone through the worst, and it can only be upwards from now.
Yeah, and I think people are working together more on campus, too. That's the other thing that I've seen in the last few years, that people understand that we all have to be working under the EIU cloud, not in our own little whatever silo in our building. So
good vibes all around, I think.
There you go.
That's good.
All right. Place you've loved to visit the most.
Place I would love to visit.
No, that you love to visit the most. Is there a certain place in the world or the country that you just say, I love to go and I can't wait to get back? Or, anywhere?
My own country, Turkey. I visited with friends and I saw things that I'd never seen before, so I'd like to go back to Turkey and do the tourist thing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. How often do you get to go back home?
About 3 years or so.
Every 3 years?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Any place you'd love to visit? I'll let you answer.
I'd like to go back to Germany and really take it in. I only spent a week there, so it'd be nice to maybe learn the language this time around.
Yeah. Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
All I knew, I pretended that I was Italian because I didn't want people to know that I was American.
I've done that before. I pretended to be Portuguese.
I got two. Never mind. Favorite college professor?
My favorite college professor was Professor McCurdy.
What made him so great?
He was a human being, and he shared his life with us in class. Yeah.
I have a couple, but Lola Burnham is definitely up there.
There you go. Do you have a hobby? Is there anything you like to do besides that's not related to work that you just
I cook.
You cook?
But my little ones say I'm a bad cooker. So
That's so mean.
They mean well. They just want me to grow as a cooker.
That's so mean. Kids are the worst sometimes.
It's Christmas time. Do they know that? There you go.
That's right.
Do you have a hobby, Annalisa, that we don't know about?
I collect vinyls, but I think people know about that already.
Type of music you love to listen to? Is there a certain type?
Yes, belly dancing music.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's kind of all over the place.
Holiday plans for Christmas? You going to go anywhere? Going to be around here? Or things,
I have hopes that this is going to be the time we're going to be completely unpacked. 5 months and counting.
No?
I mean, I work, so I don't think I can go home.
You sounded excited about that.
Very.
Something that we do not know about Dr. Ozlem Ersin is?
I used to dance tango.
They used to dance
cool.
tango.
Yes,
That's
haven't
cool.
been able to
I'm not
find a
asking
club
you that
here.
question. All right, a personal goal for you that you'd like to see in 2020 for you, your business, your family, whatever. Something you want everybody out there to know that 2020 is going to be what?
2020, I'm going to buy that treadmill and exercise in the mornings.
Annalisa, for 2020?
I was just going to say, maybe I can drop back down to the weight I was freshman year. So that'd be nice.
It was really nice to meet you. I hope you had fun.
Lovely to be here.
You want to ask me a quick question? We have 10 seconds.
What's your favorite place you've been to?
I like Arizona. I like Arizona. I'm not a world traveler, so I like Arizona.
It's the dry heat.
Yeah. It's nice. So there you go. This is Houston Attitudes, WEIU.